Alright, y'all, let's talk a little bit today. So, it's been a very long time since I've done a sit down, kind of let's chat, self-actualize, oh my god, I cannot, okay, what's going on? Self-actualization type of video in a long while. I've been doing a lot of like vlogs and life experiments and that kind of thing. So, I thought I'd sit down today, have some kombucha, of course. If you know me, you know. And talk about an idea that I've been thinking about a lot recently, and that is the importance of human connection. So, let's get into it. Now, let's address this off the bat because I know someone is going to think this, and I want to save this person's soul, okay? This person's soul, just in case they're in the same situation as me. Yes, kombucha is fermented with sugar, but literally on this it says that no sugar remains after the long-aged fermentation, which is why I can drink this, because there's no sugar in this once kombucha is kombucha. And this is actually a mixed berry, so I'm excited because I haven't tried that flavor from this brand before. It's actually been a very long time since I've drank kombucha because there's a lot of yeast in it, and for specific reasons I've been avoiding yeast for these past few months. My naturopath doesn't really care anymore if I have yeast, like she's taken off the restriction, but I'm a little bit more careful still, so I'm very excited to have kombucha after months, okay? Months. So let's crack this baby up. Okay, going for it. Hopefully it doesn't spill everywhere. Oh my god, please don't. I'm kind of scared. Okay, it didn't. Okay, how does this taste? Let's see. Oh my god, this is so good. I missed you. I missed you. Okay, let's actually start talking about this. So let me give you an overall kind of idea on what I want to talk about, and then I'll take you through actually kind of the steps of how this idea has evolved for me. So what I've been mulling about on recently is the idea of how fulfilling and meaningful and important human connection is for every human, and having, you know, that just that feeling of wholeness, of groundness, and how human connection really fills that void in a very nuanced way that other things can't do, because those things fill voids in their own unique way. Now, let me take you through how I've kind of reached this place and why I've been thinking about this a lot. So, several years back, I'll be the first to admit that I was an extremely immature INTJ. If you're familiar with the Myers-Briggs personality, Briggs, so one of those personality tests, so MBTI. I was an extremely young and immature INTJ. And as the classic unhealthy INTJ is, I thought humans were unnecessary. And what I mean by that is human connection was unnecessary, and getting to know other people and letting them get to know me, you know, being vulnerable, being open, opening myself up to literally just having a meaningful conversation that isn't efficiency driven and work driven and productivity driven. Like, I don't need something from you and you don't need something from me, so it's not a transaction. We're literally having a conversation for the sake of having a conversation. That used to baffle me. I used to think, no thank you, my pronouns do not exist if this is not work related. Okay, aka young INTJ. Now, back in that day, I had a mentor who literally changed my life. I've talked about her a couple of times, I think, on this channel now. She has changed my life, like fundamentally helped me change my life and get to a point in my life right now where I'm much more satisfied than I was back then. So honestly, hats off to her. But she really endorsed the idea of human connection and helped me understand that feelings and emotions are not illogical, right? Feelings and emotions are actually logical because they're data points. It's literally data that's being communicated to you. You're just ignoring them because you think feelings and emotions are illogical and humans are illogical. No, that's actually all data that can be used to drive all of these patterns that people like me are coming up with in our heads. The whole idea was that, oh, all of this stuff is illogical, conversations are meaningless, I'm just gonna stick to my brain, and I'm gonna, you know, go into my brain and build all these awesome systems, you know, like I'm just gonna disappear from the world. But that's a really inefficient way to do that, because by using all of the data around me from feelings and conversation, I can actually build better systems that deal with the world better. Okay? So she really helped me understand that there's value in human connection, not only from that perspective that it'll help me do better what I want to do, but because humans, even humans like me who are very efficiency driven and productivity driven and don't have as much of emotional needs as, say, your regular Joe or Jane on the street. Oh wow, that was so Western of me to say. Oh my god. Wow. Okay. But you know, your average human being on the street, people, every human needs human connection because it is a fundamental part of human nature, right? It brings this certain sphere of and certain dimensionality to your life that you will not get in any other way. And I was very intrigued by this idea. And I'll be honest, I didn't really believe her at the time. But, you know, as, you know, I moved through the last few years, I've been thinking about this more and more. And finally, I decided to do a little bit of an experiment. As you may have picked up, I do a lot of chugging some more kombucha. Oh my god. This is so good. Why is this so good? Let's talk about this experiment that I'm talking about. So I was very curious. I was like, okay, is human connection really that important? From both an efficiency perspective, from a systems perspective, from like all the stuff I'm trying to do in my brain, is it really gonna help me that much? And also, is it important from a human nature perspective? Is it gonna fulfill me and ground me and satisfy me in a way that I have been really restless in? You know, like trying to just feel like life is more than a grind. And so this year, going back in person, I made an intention back in person for university. I was very intentional about being open and talking to different people and, you know, investing time into connecting with other humans that I just come across for no other reason than just getting to know them and just having a conversation and literally just asking them random questions for no purpose other than having a conversation. Literally, that's it. Like, I had no ulterior motive to these conversations. And this experiment, literally, I'm mind blown by the results, which is why I've been thinking so much about this idea of how important human connection is for the past few weeks. So let me talk about what kind of my findings were and how it went. So this is how I went about this. There was no logical method to it per se, but rather than literally going to class, sitting there for lectures and then coming back like a lifeless robot, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna talk to people around me. I'll ask them about their day. I'm gonna put effort into small talk. You know, if I see someone sitting behind me who I have no idea who they are, I'm gonna, you know, start a conversation like, oh my god, this class is sucking the soul out of me. Or, oh my god, I actually really enjoy this information. Or, oh my god, this, you know, just putting that like one liner out and, you know, extending that line to the other person so they can like jump in and, you know, have some back and forth. I was very intentional about that. Like, in different scenarios, I just want to talk to people. For example, last week, you know, I'm walking with a friend and he's mentioned this person that he's talking about a few times, and I'm very curious about this person at this point, you know, as in, you know, who is this other person in electrical that I have no idea about? Because electrical is a very small group in the last year. In the final year of engineering, you basically know everyone in your niche. So I'm thinking, you know, who is this person that I haven't heard of before or haven't met? And he's like, hey, I'm gonna go meet him now. Do you want to tag along? And I was quite busy that day, but I thought, you know what? I have a little bit of wiggle room in my schedule, and this plays into my experiment. Let's go meet this person. Let's put in that extra effort and let's go meet this person. And I had actually a really great conversation with this person. Like, it was a very fulfilling conversation about just what his background is, what my background is. We talked a little bit about psychology, neuroticism, you know, some problems in engineering. It was a very fulfilling conversation that had really no basis or meaning, if you will. No inherent productivity to it, which is a whole another topic on itself, because you might think it's not productive, but it is actually productive because there's different types of productivity. This is an idea that Ali Abdaal touches on, I believe, in one of his videos back in the day, or back a few months or something like that. But I won't even get into that. But there was no very traditional productivity associated with this conversation. And so on the face of it, it's kind of like I'm just sitting there wasting my time, but I'm really having a conversation that's fulfilling, you know? And not only do I meet this person, but there were other people there that I've never met before, and they were also really fun to talk about. Likewise, I went on a field trip for a class last week as well, and someone that I've met here and there in passing, we ended up actually sitting together and having a real conversation for the first time. And I actually had fun in that conversation, and I found it fulfilling in different ways. So, like, I'm mind blown by the fact that I'm actually enjoying conversations now, which doesn't make me an extrovert, by the way. I very intentionally have to have these conversations because I'm still a very, very heavy introvert. But I'm mind blown by the idea of, like, I'm actually enjoying these conversations, and they're actually fulfilling me in ways that I can't quite pinpoint yet. Like, it's not very logical to me, but they're fulfilling and I enjoy them. And it's literally leaving me absolutely baffled. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. One thing I have understood, though, is that my mentor was right. My mentor was right. You know, I've evolved a lot from, you know, who I was back then, but I had never been so intentional about talking to people and opening myself up to human connection as I have been in these past few months, and it's literally changed my life. The amount of people that I have met, the amount of things that I have learned, the knowledge that I have gained simply from having conversations with different people in passing, it's astounding, and I love it. Because if there's one thing about me, it is that I love to learn. I love to learn, and I love to grow, and I love to know more. So all of this stuff that I'm learning from these people, you know, either about them or about me or about different things, you know, just becoming more knowledgeable and worldly, I like it. I like it a lot. I like it enough to continue to do this. The lighting is going down. I hope I'm not like this black blob in the middle of a room. I hope not. Should I switch? Will this angle be better? Let's try. It's okay, we'll just run with it. But anywho, that's the idea that I've been mulling over a lot for these past few weeks, is that human connection is actually necessary for every human, including people like me who claim that we have no emotional needs, if I'm gonna be frank. Okay, because we do. We do have emotional needs, and that is the very first step actually in maturing, is understanding that you are human. You know, you do have a human nature, you do have human behavior, which is a whole nother thing that we could get into. I find that so interesting. So yes, human connection, being vulnerable, sharing stuff about yourself, and learning about others is valuable from both a traditional perspective, for people like me who are efficiency focused, because it's like I'm collecting a lot of data that's useful. It is the useful data that I have used in many different ways talking to these people. And two, it's necessary just from a human baseline. Like, humans need to talk to other people. They need to feel seen and heard and listened to. And it's a really interesting idea. Like, I'm mind blown from these past few weeks. I'm mind blown. So that's it. I hope this video wasn't as scattered as I feel like it was, because I was really just trying to work through my thoughts on this idea and hopefully relay them in a masterful way or a understandable way. And you know, for anybody else out there who might be where I was several years ago, I encourage you, like my mentor encouraged me, to just play with the idea. Play with it, right? And see where it takes you. Because at the end of the day, even if something doesn't work out, what do you have? You have a good story to tell. And that in and of itself is valuable in my perspective. Stories are great icebreakers, by the way. Anywho, that's the video. That's the video. My realization of how important human connection is to everyone. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I shall see you next time.